Hey everybody, how you doing? It's your boy Shaheener coming at you with another episode of the Pokemon Babblers podcast. As always, joined by my co-host Bono over here. And we are once again joined by our good friend and collaborator, Bottenvig. Bottenvig, how you doing?
Oh, great.
Good.
Excited to get back in the lion's den here.
Yeah, the Lionel's Den.
Shark Tank. Yeah.
Did we
uh,
just kill this guy?
5 times. Wait, no, we
I,
he didn't even get it right.
he's stupid after 5 years.
So, yeah,
Anyway,
Anyways, Bono, did you want to give us an intro on this episode on what we're talking about?
sure. Where to begin? Pokemon Stadium. I know just saying that brings a lot of memories to everybody. And seven. There should be 7 flavors of popcorners. But yeah, Pokemon Stadium released in Japan. Obviously, it's part of that generation of games that came out in Japan first on April 30th, 1999.
Bono,
And then
you're an artist.
And then in North America, February 29th. February is a very auspicious day for Pokemon games in the year 2000. With the movie, I believe it came out the same that year. Australia, March 23rd, 2000, and then the EU, April 7th, 2000. So it looks like Australia once again just got for whatever, no, March, April, no. Never mind, they got it earlier.
Yeah, Australia always
And,
gets it earlier than Europe, at least before the worldwide releases.
and to be more concurrent with the times, it was re-released on the Switch Online Expansion Pack on April 12th, 2023. So 23 years later, they're still selling us N64 games.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten Stadium 2 yet on Switch Online Expansion Pass or Expansion
No.
Pack. But yeah, so technically these games aren't even like Stadium 1 for us is Stadium 2 in Japan. Because
That's right.
back in August of '98, they had a Pokemon Stadium game already for the 64. But it was like a glorified demo, it seemed like. There was only like 40 so odd Pokemon in the game. Like, you couldn't even get the whole roster. I don't think they had mini games. Like, it was so just. It's just a condensed version.
much like Red and Blue or Red and Green in Japan was like a completely different game from Red and Blue that came out in the United States, because those are both based off of the Blue, which is like the final copy of the first generation games. The main feature of this game is to obviously have connectivity with your Red, Blue, or Yellow games. I believe Yellow is part of that because they're all just based on the same thing. And use your Pokemon that you caught in game and battle with them on the N64 on a 3D space. This was like the first time you could see your Pokemon in a 3D space. We're recording these out of order, so I don't know if Hey You Pikachu was the first 3D Pokemon game or not. Is this the first 3D Pokemon game?
Well, this is one of the first instances of seeing Pokemon in 3D.
Okay.
But this is like. No, this is definitely before Hey You Pikachu.
Might want to be a good factoid to check or put on the screen that yes, this is the first 3D Pokemon game, or at least
Pokemon
first 3D.
Snap. Does Pokemon Snap
Yeah, Pokemon
count?
Snap, I believe, came out before this.
Well, then there you go. Either or. This
That
is like
wasn't
the
all the
first.
Pokemon though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is like the first time you could see
Pokemon in
old
3D.
Pokemon in 3D.
hmm
So that was a neat feature, or at least that's what I know it for, is seeing Pokemon in 3D at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, you could transfer them using the N64 pack, which came with the game, I believe, right? On
yeah,
launch.
yeah. It was bundled with the Pokemon Stadium, so they gave you this transfer pack, which basically connects to your Nintendo 64 controller, and then you plug in your Gen 1 and then later on Gen 2 games. And it just basically, that was kind of like the big selling point of this game as well, is that the Pokemon that you use on the Game Boy, you could see them in 3D, on the 64, on the big screen. And there's like basically most all the features, all the important features are unlocked with the transfer pack. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do without it, but it really takes it to the next level with having the transfer pack.
Now, I wasn't rich. I had access to Stadium, but I think the guy that sold it to my cousin didn't sell him the transfer pack, or he just
Yeah.
didn't have it. So how does the transfer process work if you've ever done it before?
Yeah, I've definitely done it before. I mean, actually, I have my 64 controller just conveniently over here. Let me just.
Do you have to
unplug
like
it.
boot Stadium and then find like a thing to do it, or like
So
inside the Stadium game?
it instantly recognizes it basically. So once you plug in on a 64 controller, you just plug in the transfer pack, just right on the back over here. It's basically the same place where you put your Rumble Pack and all that stuff. So plug in your game over there, and once you boot up the game and you go past the start menu, it'll recognize the game that you have on there. And that way, if you go to like make a team, or if you wanted to use any of the features like the GB Tower, I mean, it'll just recognize it pretty much right away.
I'm assuming it uses the Pokemon in your party, not any Pokemon in a box.
Correct. I mean, we'll be talking about it later on in the episode, but but you can like organize like the box and stuff like that in Stadium, so you could organize everything and move it all around in there. And honestly, it recognized it really quick. Like I was just playing Stadium. Yeah, I was playing
Stadium. There's a reason I never
2.
completed the Pokedex in Red and Blue, because accessing the boxes took forever.
The most tedious process in the world. Every time you'd switch a box, you'd have to save. Every single time. It only held 20 Pokemon per box, and you had to go one by one by one by one. Oh my god.
I never caught more than 6 Pokemon playing those games.
Yeah.
I didn't want to interact with the box.
Exactly. And yeah, when Gen 3 came out, and the feature of just like the new box setup that they had was seriously is the greatest improvement that they made in the whole game, honestly. Yeah, it made you incentivized to catch more by how the box was set up.
I still think Gen 7 probably has like the best implementation of the box system, where they have like the islands and you can have your Pokemon actually like do stuff on those islands.
The Pelago, right?
Yeah, the Pokepelago, and your progression is tied to like how many Pokemon are in a box.
Yeah.
Gen 8 kind of did it with like the job system, but
Jobs is dumb.
That was more or less like you getting experience, which could have just been rolled into what they did in the Pokepelago in the first place. Like honestly, the Pokepelago should be the standard going forward, because like other than that, you're basically putting your Pokemon in a zoo.
I mean, yeah. Also, Legends kind of had it a little bit there, whereas like you could see the Pokemon like almost in like my Pokemon Ranch in a way. You just see them interacting with each other briefly, and you couldn't even go over there to interact with them either. You just saw them like in an enclosure, and that was it.
Honestly, the Pokemon Ranch thing should be folded in going like Pokepelago plus Ranch should be folded in going forward. You should be like the people who do it, or like whatever, because they have the guy managing the Pokepelago, should like give you a bonus if you go and catch like a Pokemon like Pokemon Ranch does. Like if you I love how this spun into a Pokemon Ranch thing, but they have like a bounty if you catch like a certain Pokemon that you don't have and you put it in the ranch. Like if you don't have Golbat for some reason, they'll give you like points or something.
Yeah.
And Pokemon Ranch is really good on salad too.
Pokemon Ranch, I love it.
Honestly, I prefer Pokemon Barbecue, but I mean, not on a salad. Not on a salad.
Dude, Miltank cheese. Oh, it's the best cheese.
Oh man, I can't have Miltank cheese unless it's on a Milo's cheesesteak.
That's what he uses. He uses some prime cut Tauros.
Some Tauros meat or something.
Yeah.
Oh god.
I need nourishment.
Right.
I was so bad putting my Pokemon in the boxes. And yeah, I remember like Gen 3 specifically seeing like the move. Did Gen 2 have the move button where you could just move around instead of withdraw and deposit?
I don't.
That's a good one. I haven't played Gen 2 in years.
Yeah, I haven't.
And
I
like
don't
I said,
remember.
I think it was the
but
same
it didn't
idea.
have a cool. It didn't. It had basically the same box system as Gen 1, roughly.
Okay, and I'm gonna have to play Gen 7 because I haven't played that one. And I look at the sounds. I won't be as guilty like dropping my Pokemon off if they're being taken care of and having fun.
Yeah, 7 was great. I like 7 a lot.
It's either or. I wouldn't say like play one over the other. I mean, in my head, it's saying play the Ultra versions because that has just more Pokemon. So if like you want to do, like catch Pokemon then get that one. But base Sun and Moon is not bad. Yeah, but if you're
Ultra Beast sounds cool.
Ultra Sun and Moon were like definitely the better ones. Like if you haven't played either of them, just get Ultra Sun and Moon because it's basically the same game, just a little bit better than Sun and Moon. Yeah, there's very, very little difference. And you can check out the episode of Sun and Moon on the Babblers podcast, link down below.
Yeah, link down below or up in the top right corner.
Yeah,
that was good up. That's the one that made me kind of want to play that. Like, and I remember when you came to visit, you brought your DS, and I was like, "Holy shit, I need one now!" And that's when the eShop went down, and everyone started modding, and the prices went way up, and I was like, "Oh,
yeah."
Everyone had the same idea as me.
Out like this. Right here.
Yeah.
I was the 20th year edition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bono has the most
3DS
valuable one, basically.
with all
Very nice.
I bought everything. I bought
Yeah.
red, blue, yellow, gray, gold, silver,
Dude.
crystal, the ORAS demo, the Sun and Moon demo.
Mhm.
Basically everything that would make this DS like extremely valuable.
I
bought.
wish
Nice.
I jumped on. I wish we got the Crystal 3D 2DSs that they had in Japan, where they had the red, blue, green, yellow, because they had each like a different 2DS for like the different versions, and those look so cool. But we didn't get them over here. They reminded me of like the classic Game Boy Color that
Dude,
I
they did a
acquired.
They
Yeah,
did a
Pokemon Crystal
sweeping-
DS.
Yeah, they did a
That's
sweeping
sick.
DS. I'd lose my mind.
Right, I would. Yeah, I would lose my shit if they did something like that, or if they did
It's a
like
2DS.
yeah, because they had the 2DSs in like the different crystal colors. Or by crystal, I mean like transparent. I don't mean like Pokemon Crystal.
Right.
Oh,
Sorry.
I was gonna say I really like the cartridge for Pokemon Crystal.
You mean this one right here?
I
one
can't
right
see
there?
your
You know-
screen for some reason, but yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
So
what's funny
actually, this
about my
copy.
version?
Yeah, I got this from Ben. Actually, I bought this
Oh,
from
really?
Ben years ago. Yeah.
Very nice. You know,
You
the new
wanna-
Super Mario RPG, it reminds me of him because that's the only place I ever saw it, is that his brother had a copy.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, and that remake made me think about it.
I never played a Super Nintendo. Like I remember as a little kid, going over to my cousin's house, and one of his neighbor friends was like, "I have a Super Nintendo." I was like, "Super Nintendo doesn't exist. That sounds like a my dad works at Nintendo kind of thing." I thought it was
Lying sack of
bullshit.
shit.
I thought it was bullshit.
I don't know. That actually think I have to like look for it now because when you showed me the crystal cartridge, mine actually might be a little bit special, and I don't know why it has this. But on the sticker, it says this is not for sale.
You
Like,
have
it's a part of the thing. Like I can look for it.
you
right
have
now.
a
Give me
not for
second.
resale crystal copy.
Yeah. Like I shit you not. Like it was in Sharpie when we bought it from Blockbuster. It was, but over the years the Sharpie got like inked off, and it says this is not for resale.
Is
or
it
something
like
that.
in a red border and stuff?
Yeah, and a red border.
What?
Yeah.
That might be. I wonder if that's worth something. Isn't this episode about Pokemon Stadium?
I don't know. There's
Yeah.
no Pokemon games on Super Nintendo, so.
Yeah. Pokemon Stadium. So, yeah. It came out in 64. Transfer pack is cool. Basically, when you're the main feature of this game is that, like we said, to upload your Pokemon and battle them in a 3D space. And it was kind of cool that they made the cries seem more realistic. That it wasn't just like the 8-bit cries that they had on the Game Boy. That they tried to make it a little more real. And if you had Pokemon Yellow inserted onto the transfer pack, use the starter Pikachu from there.
64.
Oh, wow. Mario
Oh,
64
there you go.
DS. If you had your starter Pikachu on your team and you battle with it, it would use the cry from the anime, basically. It would use the
Oh, that's
voice-acted cry.
Anyway, found it.
Found it? Ooh. Oh,
Nice.
wow. That is a not-for-resale copy. Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
cool. Pokemon Crystal might be like my best memories.
Mm-hmm.
I had a surgery when I was little of I kept getting ear infections, so they get tubes in
Did you
your
get it from
ears.
the
for
grocery store?
drainage. Yeah, this kid that stole my DS, he put his finger in my ears and then
Gave me a wet willy.
this thing. Yeah, and he said, "Hey, bitch, I'm taking this now." But I remember like being just in bed after the surgery, just like tired, and I didn't have to go to school or anything.
Mhm.
And my aunt and my mom went out and got me Pokemon Crystal, and a game. I had a Game Boy SP like for my birthday that year.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like laying on the couch. I had the plug in for the first time, no batteries needed for the very first time as a Game Boy player is like the greatest with the backlight. The Game Boy SP was like the revolution.
It feels like the
Just having it fully
first
charged.
time.
I felt I could play forever. It's plugged into the wall.
Mhm.
I have a light coming out. Pokemon Crystal. The Pokemon are moving when they pop out. This is holy shit.
Yeah.
That's peak.
Man, why didn't we have you on the episode on Crystal?
I should have been. We got the remake,
We had
and
to
the
read the
remake comes
redo.
out.
Yeah.
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 Or let's go, cross our fingers. Let's go, Johto.
Mhm. Oh my god. I don't.
Oh, dude, I would love that.
Man, I think that the way that they're going, I don't think that they're going to go back to Let's Go. at all. I don't think they're gonna do a Let's Go or a Legends game in the future, but I mean, I
Who
could be
knows?
totally wrong.
They're doing a new
What
supposedly a new console next year, and I mean,
Mhm.
Let's Go was a launch title for the Switch.
No, it wasn't.
what
Or
would be the two Johto Pokemon for that game, you think?
I think it
Uh,
would just be a like a Arceus,
Pikachu and
just
Eevee
a
again.
standalone title. Like not two
Oh,
versions. It would just be a standalone Let's
Yeah,
Go Johto.
just it'd be Bidoof and Bidoof.
yeah.
Honestly, if they did that, like I would buy like a console variant if they had a Bidoof Switch.
Most
Basically, yeah.
dysfunctional Babblers opening ever. Back to
Yeah.
Stadium.
Yeah, so this is actually the first game that allowed you to have more than 2 players battling at once. So you could play up to 4 players on a battle, basically like a 2v2. But that feature wouldn't be shown again until Gen 3 when they introduced double battles. So I thought that
Now,
was kind of an interesting little factoid.
now correct me if I'm wrong,
You're
but
wrong.
the way that it works with 2 players is that
Correct.
on the top and bottom of the screen it's like blue and green, but you can
Yeah.
both see like what moves are being chosen.
Yeah,
at
you
the
guys
same
could
time.
see what moves there are, but you can't see what they're
Yeah.
going to be pressing because basically you'd
Right.
have to hold R to look at the moves, and then you'd press one of the directional C buttons to do the move. But
So
it
this
doesn't
was,
highlight like what move you
So
use.
this and GoldenEye was like the golden age of screen peeking.
Hmm. Yeah,
Oh,
Well, yeah,
a
you have
thing.
to hold. It doesn't. You press A to battle, and then it
yeah,
doesn't show your move list. You have to hold down R
yeah.
before you can choose. So you could kind of just.
You
I
could.
feel like I have some OCD where I have to. I feel I don't want to choose the wrong move by
Mhm.
accident, so I have to check every
Yeah,
single time.
yeah. Unless you
Right.
know
So they
by
just
muscle
like
memory, you're just
tap really
spamming a move
fast.
over and over. Then,
Yeah,
yeah.
but you just tap really fast so the other
Mhm.
people don't notice.
Yeah, you're just spamming
Exactly.
Earthquake.
Yeah, and then it's like they almost
Yeah.
revisit that. Like, there's another game that came out later on, like an indie game called Screen Sheet. I remember Bono. We played it at one point with like a few of the
Yeah, we
boys,
did.
and
Yeah.
that one was really cool. It definitely harkened back to those like local, like multiplayer games where like you have to look at the other person's screen to see where they're at so you can shoot them because
They're
they're all invisible.
invisible on
Everybody's
your.
invisible, so you
Yeah.
have to look at everybody else's screen. And that game is based on every platform. Like it's really fun. So and it's usually pretty cheap too. Like I think it got it on the Switch for like $1.50 or something. So yeah, check out Screen Sheet. That game's fun.
I will say that like this is like pretty cool on its own because like I said I didn't have functionality with my own games, but like just being able to like load up a battle and then being like, oh, 5-year-old me's like, oh, I'm gonna get Moltres, I'm gonna get Mewtwo, I'm gonna get Articuno,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
get
yeah.
Zapdos, and then I guess I could
Yeah.
get Pikachu.
But one of the features was free battling. So that's the main way of
Yeah.
playing with your team. I guess like if you wanted to go like a 1v1 or a 2v2 or whatever, or even going against a computer. You could definitely upload your Pokemon from the transfer pack, but if you didn't have a transfer pack, then they had a whole slew of rental Pokemon to use. And so the rental teams are notorious for not being that great. And so it always seemed like with the higher stage Pokemon like Charizard, Venusaur, and all that, that the moveset wasn't as strong. But the Pokemon of the lower stages would have the better moves, so it almost like tried to balance it out in a way. But you'd still want to use like the legendary birds and stuff. The only ones that you couldn't use as a rental were Mewtwo and Mew. Like all 151 Pokemon were in the game, but you couldn't use those. You had to have them via the transfer pack. Those were like exclusive essentially. Next mode was a stadium mode. So this is basically like the big tournament mode. It had a lot of different facets of where you could battle at. So they had 4 different cups with different difficulties. So they had the Pika Cup, Petite Cup, Poke Cup, and Prime Cup. And the 2 latter ones had 4 difficulty levels. They had Pokeball, Great Ball, Ultra Ball, Master Ball as their difficulty levels, and you have to win basically 8 battles in those tournaments to win. And each one has their own like regulations, so you couldn't just use any Pokemon in there and call it good. Like you had to be within the confines of what they set up.
I
So
wonder
yeah.
if because this is like technically Stadium 2, like you said, if they like got like Stadium 1 or their Stadium 1 was like full of glitches because I know in Gen 1 battling is like notorious for like being difficult but also like very predictable.
Hmm.
And one of the quirks of Gen 1 is that I think you can't unfreeze like in battle. Like you can't thaw out of battle.
Yeah, there's a
So
lot
I
of weird quirks in Stadium compared to the main games.
So I wonder if like the game gets soft lock if you somehow, let's say you freeze every single one of the other person's Pokemon but you
Hmm.
like run out of moves to attack, like will the battle just continue forever?
They have
Because I don't.
some rules in place, if I'm not mistaken. I just can't remember exactly. Of like, I think it's like the last Pokemon. If it's like two Pokemon available, like you can't use like explosion or something. Like if it leads to a draw.
Yeah.
So it's like
Okay.
stuff like that that they have in place where you're like they have some certain rules in the game where you can't like break.
Okay, because I know like
Yeah, I think.
now they've thought of all of that, and
Hmm.
most of it's covered. Like I think
Yeah.
in Omega Ruby when I was doing free battles just against like random people, I got into one battle. It was 3v3. It came down to our last two Pokemon. He had a Shuckle and I had a Venusaur.
Hmm.
And what ended up happening is that I couldn't kill him because he kept using like rest and all this other stuff to like keep his health up.
Hmm.
And we went the full like 30-minute battle timer. Like we went all the way to the end. Like I can guarantee you the guy on the other end is like, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna like play this till the end. And so we played it all the way till the end, and I ended up losing because he had more HP. Like that, it
Oh.
wasn't a draw. That was
It was
like how
just
they
all based off
decided
of
who won.
HP. Yeah, I've seen
Yeah,
that
and I was
before.
like, wow.
The first cup that I mentioned was the Pika Cup. So that one you had to have Pokemon between level 15 and 20 only. I think you couldn't exceed like a total like all your Pokemon altogether. You can't exceed over a level of 60. So you can't have like three level 20 Pokemon, I believe. So they have to be within those levels, and you can only use Pokemon that are acquired at like lower levels. So you couldn't use like Charizard or Mewtwo and things like that. Like you could use like Butterfree, Pidgeotto, or like first stage Pokemon, of course, but you couldn't use
So
like hard to acquire Pokemon.
so you couldn't have more. You can't have three level 20s, which means like at max you could only have like four level 15s.
Well, you only get three Pokemon basically. You only get to choose
Oh,
three
okay,
Pokemon.
got it.
Yeah, it's basically three Pokemon, and they can't exceed level like 60 as an overall level. Yeah, then the next one was a Petite Cup, and so those were levels 25 to 30, and you can't use any Pokemon that are taller than 6'8", and you can't or weighing more than 44 pounds. And it's
Why?
only unevolved Pokemon. You can't use like any kind of second stage or third stage Pokemon.
I don't even think there's like any weight or like size moves back then. Like I don't
No,
think.
no, no. It's just more of like, oh, we're cute and chibi, kawaii
Okay,
des, you know.
because I'm like over here thinking like heavy slams a move that's based on weight, low kick. I'm like I don't think those
Yeah.
are in Gen 1.
Yeah, you're thinking too much in terms of like new feature or mechanics, I guess. Yeah,
Hmm.
basically just remember this is like the Stone Age. This is like returning to Monkey.
It's like what do you call it? Is it Amity Square
Yeah.
in Platinum and Diamond and Pearl where
Hmm.
you can only bring like certain Pokemon?
Exactly. It's basically like that. But I thought it was interesting though that the Petite Cup had higher you could use higher level Pokemon versus the Pika Cup, which it sounds like Petite would be like smaller and like weaker, but their levels are higher. So it's like
Wow, those
it's
battles must go on forever.
right? Seriously. Next one from there is the Poke Cup. Yeah, levels 50 to 55, and you can't use Mewtwo or Mew, but everything else is totally fine. So if you have like the legendary birds and whatever, go for it. And
Okay.
the most difficult one, the one that people probably gravitated towards the most was the Prime Cup. So everything was allowed at all levels. So basically, bring in your level hundreds and just sweep house essentially. Well, I mean, they're going to be level 100 as well. I think they match you on level. I never really bothered too much with, like, cup battling, though. I usually just went into the next feature. I usually would focus more on Gym Leader Castle. But, Vattenbig, did you have any experience with, like, the tournament mode on Stadium at all, or?
I was always really bad at the battling parts of it. I
Mm-hmm.
think I mainly used this just to play against my brother. The bummer about including like such a significant thing with the cartridge of putting your own game into playing on Stadium is if you bought it secondhand, it might not have that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm,
we would just
Yeah.
battle with rented Pokemon,
same.
Yeah, same.
because I guess whoever turned it into the game store either didn't give that with it or the game store sold it separately or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened there. They should have had your Pokemon Crystal not for resale on
Yeah.
Not for
Yeah.
resale.
I I
on the
found
transfer pack.
I found more fun honestly just spamming metronome just to see like what moves I could get
Yeah,
from whatever Pokemon. Or honestly, I think most of the time that I played Stadium with rentals, I would just use Alakazam. It was always my go-to, just Alakazam, Psybeam, everything.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Metronome didn't. Isn't there a way for Snorlax to get Metronome too?
Pretty
And you could
sure.
like use Fly.
Yeah, yeah, I think something like that. There was
I
some
remember
way that
seeing that
Diglett got
before.
fly. I think I remember seeing Diglett using fly, and it's just like like just flat bottom on that
Yeah,
one. Yeah, because that was
that's
always
one thing
the.
about these games. Yeah, the move animations are really cool, and
Hmm.
the I'm watching a video right now. Just to reach out my memory, the fainting animations were so good on
Yeah. Or when the Pokemon, the eyes get all super buggy, like Venusaur and stuff.
Yeah.
Like its eyes are all like veiny and just.
I like the Magneton one. I think like the screws come loose and then like the
Yeah.
magnets fall and then they like fall by one by
Yeah.
one.
Hmm. Yeah, or like.
There's Alakazam, I think, or Alakazam. No, Kadabra.
Mhm.
So when Kadabra, I'm looking at it right now, when he faints, he falls on his ass and he has the spoon and he falls on his ass and he throws the spoon up and
Mhm.
then the spoon hits him on the head and then he
Yeah,
lies down.
exactly.
Like that's so cool.
Yeah, I can totally see that with like the Dark Souls, like you died.
Alright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess Alakazam, like he falls to his knees and he looks at the spoon like he's trying to bend it and uses the powers one last time, but it
Hmm.
doesn't work and he falls. Like
Yeah.
stuff like that is just so I love flavor stuff like that. It makes
Yeah.
the world seem more alive.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought that up because I hope you like the animations in Stadium because they're gonna be around till
For a
what
long time.
2004 I
Yep.
think. Yep, they'll be
Yep.
around for a long time.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about it on the later episode as well. But the animations that are used in this and in Stadium 2, these Pokemon assets and animations are rehashed basically through Coliseum and XD, and I'm pretty sure they use them in Battle Revolution. I could be totally wrong about that.
Mm,
But they literally
But
use the
they're
same
100%,
animations. Yeah, totally just
100%.
recycled. It's
And in Coliseum, it's even worse because I don't think in Stadium they don't have shadows. And then if you
yeah.
look in Coliseum, it's the same. They don't have shadows, but in XD they bothered to
uh,
put those in.
Hmm.
So you can tell they're literally just straight ripped from Stadium.
Hmm. Exactly. But I mean, when you're
Cutting
working with
cool.
corners,
386 Pokemon, then yeah, you're gonna try and cut some corners here and there.
cutting
Like,
Whoever
corners
did
because
yeah.
those better be
2000.
getting paid for all that.
Gym Leader Castle. So you basically have to go through a gauntlet of battling all the gym leaders and Elite Four and your rival, and you get to use your team from the game or rental Pokemon. And each gym leader has 3 underlings. So you have to beat all 4 battles, then you get to go to the next gym. And once you beat everybody, you get a Pokemon as a gift that you could transfer over to your game. So you could it's random, I believe. So you could get one of the starters. You get Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, Eevee, or Ammonite or Kabuto. It's random every time, I believe, but you can get one of those as like a gift for winning.
That's cool. Can
Hmm.
you get it multiple times or is it just the once?
No, you can get them multiple times.
Okay.
Although
Well,
I
that's
don't know if you have to go through the whole gauntlet every time, or if you just have to beat like the Elite Four and your rival.
And is the gauntlet like battle tower styled? Like, if you lose once, it's over, or do they save at period every like
Uh,
badge?
I think it saves at every badge if I'm not mistaken, but I can't remember. I think you
Okay.
just work it on your own pace. But if you lose any of the battles like during the gym, then you have to start from the beginning there. But
One thing about the gym too that's interesting is the trainers leading up to it, the Pokemon are
mhm.
nicknamed. I don't
Yeah,
know if you
they're all
noticed that.
nicknamed and they have alternate colors on them. Because this is before shinies.
Yeah.
So yeah, like if you nicknamed your Pokemon in here, like the color scheme would be totally just fucked. I mean, it looked
Or
kind of.
super cool and
Yeah,
rad.
yeah, it just depends. Usually they look pretty ugly, like they're usually like the olive green kind of thing.
Hmm.
Also, another random factoid that I think Bono you'd find interesting. This is the only game where Lance does not have a Dragonite on his team.
Say what?
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
no Dragonite on Lance's team at
That's
all, which is weird
odd.
as a dragon trainer.
Isn't that one of the
Um,
only dragon types in Gen 1
Hmm.
too?
And there was no
I'm
like
looking.
real like actual damaging dragon move that wasn't Dragon Rage. And Dragon Rage, which is a fixed attack, it just only did 40
Oh, look
damage.
at this. I'm looking
Hmm.
at the gym. The what do you call it? What do we say this is? The gym leader
Gym Leader Castle,
castle.
yeah.
And apparently they have double rounds for
Hmm.
teams, and they're like
Yeah.
completely switched up, which is like really cool that this far back is 2000 because I think what Fire Red is the one that started like the
Rematches.
rematches with the Elite Four that have like a different team. But like look,
Right.
like if you pull up the Gym Leader Castle, you look up like the Elite Four, they're like
Hmm.
completely switched up. Like Lorelai goes from having a dugong to a Wigglytuff of all things,
Hmm.
and then she drops her Jinx for a Starmie. and then they just give her an Omastar instead of a Lapras and a Execute instead of a Slowbro, and then she still has Articuno.
Yeah.
And it's like super weird to see that they gave Bruno a Slowbro and they gave Agatha a Gyarados.
I think it's because you could like pick your Pokemon before you battle these trainers, so that way it's not like, oh yeah, Lorelei has Ice type, so I'm just use Fire. Like they want to switch it up so that way they could still like counteract you,
Right.
which I thought was really
know.
cool.
This is like really cool to like to go back and like look at, like even the like actual gym leaders like Brock gets like a completely different setup. Brock gets a Ninetales. I mean that's more anime. But he gets that. He gets an Omastar. Oh wait, he has.
I'm pretty sure one of his underlings has it's just a bug trainer. And so
yeah, the first one.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a little weird here because they show all 6. So at first I was like, holy shit! Like they're all 6v6 battles, but now you only use 3. I don't know. This is really cool. I might like go back and like try and like just like make a team like based off all these like old Gen 1 gym leader castle teams. I think it's like really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to go back to those ones. Yeah, probably in the future I'll do that because I think that would be a really cool thing to stream.
It's also like really cool to like think about like what's the story behind why Sabrina has a Snorlax and a Wigglytuff and then like a bunch of psychic Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they just wanted to throw whatever there.
Right, or like what went into those choices? Like Giovanni has Moltres, Gengar, Tauros, and Persian, and then Nidoqueen and Nidoking. Yeah, it throws me off. Like I didn't know that, and that's like really really cool.
Snorlax used to be an Awake Lax, but then they used Hypnosis on it. And
then it devolved into Snorlax.
That's a bad joke. An Awake Lax.
One of the other features, if you didn't want to like take the time to just make a team and whatever, is called Battle Now. So once you press the start button, like go past the title screen, that you could go straight into like all the different modes, or you could go into Battle Now. And so it just puts you in a battle. I think you just pick your difficulty level. It just sets you up with a team against another random team, and you just go straight into it, which is kind of cool. One of the harder features to unlock, or one of the only unlockable features, I should say. So once you beat Stadium mode and Gym Leader Castle, then you get a chance to battle Mewtwo. It's called the Versus Mewtwo mode. So you take 6 Pokemon and you battle Mewtwo, who's just like completely souped up. And once you beat it, then you get a different title screen, like you get a different image on the title screen. And then after that, you also get to unlock the battling against it on a round 2, like a rematch. And so all of its stats are maxed out, essentially. And once you get that, then I guess there's some stickers in a gallery mode that you get unlocked. So there's nothing like you don't get like any kind of gift Pokemon or anything. It's just more extra like aesthetic stuff. But it is cool that they have like a hidden boss mode, essentially.
That stuff was cool before the internet, before you could just look stuff up.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, well, you could find Mew under the truck if you do like 5 backflips and eat a cookie or whatever.
Well, imagine like bringing your friend over to Pokemon Stadium and you have the different title screen. It's like, oh yeah, I beat Mewtwo, no big deal.
Yeah, I beat Mewtwo. That's how I felt with Mario Kart, because they had a different title screen if you did something on there, but I remember having that. Really, the bread and butter, why we always come back to Stadium, I feel like, is the mini-games, or as they call it, Kids Club. So in this game, there are 9 mini-games that you could play against each other or against a computer. And I probably played the mini-games on here the most. Specifically, the Licky Tongue one, which is a Sushi Go Round.
I never understood it. Like, I knew it was a fun game to play, but I never understood what was going on the entire time.
What, with Licky Tongue?
Yeah, like the sushi aspect of it. I never understood it. I was just like, oh, cool, lick a tongue, and play the game.
Yeah, the wasabi one where it's like mouth set on fire and stuff.
I always forget which ones are worth the most.
Yeah, I think I tried to go for like the red and orange ones. I thought that those ones went for the most, but I don't remember. Yeah, I tried to avoid the green ones. I don't know why.
Yeah, I was just thinking as a parent, like back then when that was popular, and you walk in and you see your kids playing the Lick-a-Tongue minigame. Just imagine walking in your kids and they're like watching Lick-a-Tongue. Like that's just the most. What are you watching? I don't like this.
Kids these days, they don't know.
And I was thinking, just as a little side note too, Lickitung has to be like the weirdest Gen 1 Pokemon. Which Pokemon in general do you guys think lives the most hellish existence?
The most hellish existence
Like
I
out of
think
Gen 1
Lickitung
or
might
like
be
all
up
of them?
there, like of all of them, yeah.
of all
Like
Pokemon, or just Gen 1?
I think of all, yeah. You guys are the Pokemon experts. You
Stunfisk.
tell me. And maybe
The most hellish existence out of
Stunfisk.
all Pokemon. Mimikyu?
Well, no, I mean, I could argue Cubone. I mean, because, like, Dead Mother and all that. Also, Yamask. That one is
Oh
kind
yeah,
of...
being
That one's pretty
being a
sad.
dead person,
Yeah. Drifloon's story is pretty messed up. But,
killing children.
yeah, but it's not like... it's not like it hates its existence, as far as we know.
well, what would be like? Because I just imagine like Lickitung. That would be so uncomfortable. I feel like being a
Ugh.
Lickitung, like
Yeah.
Walking
living
around
life
with
as a
your tongue out.
Lickitung.
Yeah.
Unless they're like dogs, where they don't mind. Just they want to smell everything. They don't care if it smells bad or not. So there's like
Probably. They probably
I
have
don't
some
know.
evolutionary like aspects to make their lives somewhat tolerable. Yeah, I'd still have to go bar none with Stunfisk though. Like just knowing that you're a Stunfisk is enough to
Which, which
just
one? Which one though? Because the
either
other
of
one's like an
them.
actual bear trap.
Either of them. Yeah, like you are a Stunfisk, and that's already insulting to existence as it is.
Does Stunfisk evolve?
No, thank God.
No, it does
Thank
not.
God.
Not yet.
Ugh,
Not
Jesus.
yet.
Literally the worst.
No, the Magikarp one was always
Mhm.
fun, but like it was never like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
no, I'm gonna lose the Magikarp game.
Yeah, you just had to like you had to time it basically. You couldn't just like mash the button. You had to like time it. That way you could be consistent with getting the points. Magikarp
Yeah.
Splash, because basically for that one you have to like hit the button that's at the top of the screen and just get points. You basically just jump, 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 jump. But Clefairy says I feel like I struggle with a little bit because again I was a dumb child
Yeah.
playing it because it literally just Simon says like oh do this, like move around on the directional pad.
Also, how degrading is it to be just called the Kids Club and that's where all the mini games are? They couldn't
Yeah,
even bother to be like, hey, mini games. No, it's
yeah,
Kids Club.
literally just
Yeah.
mini games
It's
could have
like
been fine.
kids play. It's like
Yeah.
when you go to if you go to a mall, like there's the
Mhm.
area you drop your kids off.
Yeah, exactly. What is it
That's
like?
where we go.
Too cool for
It's like us hanging
school.
out there.
Yeah, right. Or didn't they call it a kids' corner at freaking Burger King? Like the little
Yeah,
playground
something like
area?
that.
Or the McPlay place?
The Run Rattata Run one was always pretty fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one a lot, actually.
No one is good.
Basically, like running on a treadmill, jumping over hurdles.
Yeah, I
Um,
love doing that in the game. Don't like doing that in real life, but yeah.
yeah. I mean, because you are a rat bastard, so, I mean.
Right. This is like the prelude to the Pokeathlon. Maybe
Mhm.
the guy that made Run Rattata Run was like, I want to do
Oh,
thing in
I
Heart
didn't
Gold.
think about that. Yeah, you're
I
right.
doubt it, but
Yeah.
that'd be pretty interesting.
You know,
If he was like,
honestly,
I made a shitty mini game in Stadium, and then hey, I put an even shittier mini game in Heart Gold and Soul
I
Silver.
wouldn't put it past them to have used that as inspiration. I mean, that's actually I wouldn't have thought about that had you not mentioned it.
I really like the flavor aspects of the mini games too. It's not just they're running down a track. Like there's a machine that's like a treadmill that brings it up. So it kind of makes it
Right.
feel like more in universe, like it's like a
Mhm.
betting thing for Pokemon races or
That's
something
where
like
I was gonna
that.
go with it. I was like, this kind of seems like a seedy underground, like betting on rat racing.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Dude, like the Magikarp, it's not just a button, it's like one of those crowd counters that like
Yeah.
security people use to
Hmm.
count people.
Yeah. And
Clefairy, obviously
and
the
you got to think
classroom.
about that too with the Magikarp Splash is that they have no water and they're just fighting for their lives. Like they're suffering on
Yeah.
just like in like on
This,
land.
Good.
yeah, these might be like underground betting things
Yeah,
in the
this
Pokemon
this
universe.
kids
Now that I
club
think
thing is
about
sounding a little more sus as we're getting to it.
it. Yeah.
Like that's just like the cover up for what's actually going on. They just call it that to make it sound
Yeah.
endearing.
It's something
Mhm.
big Pokemon doesn't want you to know.
You know, big
Yeah, and they hit the
Pokemon.
Clefairies with hammers if they don't get it right. So they're like
Absolutely.
trying to rate. They're trying to breed the smartest Clefairies.
Mhm. This is getting worse and worse the more I think about it.
Well, yeah, let's keep going. Like the
Yeah.
Pikachu mini game
Yeah.
where they're
Yeah.
generating,
Oh, that's in
they're
that's in
exploiting
that's
the
in.
electricity.
Yeah. The Thundering Dynamo. That's Pikachu or Voltorb. It's like randomly assigned to you. You basically got to charge up electricity by pressing random buttons. So yeah, you're just forcing them to sustain your way of life with electricity and all that. So
Yeah, I think Lickitung actually has the best existence.
yeah, it's just eating.
They're just eating all the time. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that one. Or
just
even like
throwing
the.
rocks at Metapods,
I was literally just gonna say.
shooting with cannons.
Yeah, they're
They're
just
being
getting
thrown with cannons.
smashed with. Yeah. They're training the best ones, like the best hardened ability. They're just training them with it. Or the Diglett one, use sand or dig dig dig. It's just Sandshrew to dig underground wells. So that one
Yeah.
isn't as bad. It's just doing what they're kind of meant to
Fracking.
do.
It's fracking.
Yeah,
It's fracking.
it is fracking. So yeah, it's just water. But no, once we start to get to oil, then it's they probably start with Sandshrew on water, and then they put Sand Slash onto the fracking.
Money rolls.
Yeah.
Those scumbag bastards.
Giovanni. This is Giovanni's Kids Corner.
Oh my god.
He's just at the entrance, just like counting dollar bills with a cigar in his mouth.
Yeah, listen.
Yeah. Come in, yeah, he's
Right.
yeah.
You want to get in the kids club, right?
Yeah, smash more rocks on these metapods, see?
He just blows it. He just takes a big puff and blows it in the kid's face. Good, it'll build your lungs up, kid. Get in there.
Burns a cigar on a Kakuna. It builds character.
Every minigame can kind of be summed up like that. The Ekans with the Diglets.
Yeah,
They're trying to get the gold Diglets.
Yeah, you just you tie up the Ekans like they're balloon animal and just chuck them onto another Pokemon.
The Snorwar is training Drowsies to kidnap people because you put all the other ones to sleep.
That's the one I think I probably failed the most, was the Drowsy one. I didn't understand that you're supposed to hit it like right at the center of the pendulum. Like I thought you were just supposed to hit it when it gets to you, but I didn't realize it's supposed to be at the center.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, like swing. That would make sense, like swinging a swing.
Yeah, but gosh, the Drowsy and Hypno are just creepy Pokemon in general. Yeah. Especially like in Fire Red and Leaf Green. That one was
I don't know how
really...
it is in Gen 8 because like I don't pay attention to their models, but in Gen 7 when you're like fighting against Drowsies, because I remember I did like a bunch of SOSs, their fingers never stop doing like this creepy little fucking motion like towards you.
I kind of like the silhouette that is showing like in the shadow over there.
Yeah. I like, speaking of the animations too, I like in the Drowsy one how they fall asleep and the winner still falls asleep at the end too. Like he can't.
Yeah.
Like he won, but at what cost? Like he's still.
In the North American version, we got an exclusive feature. I kind of glazed over it a second ago, but the gallery. So they didn't have that in the other releases apparently. But basically, all the you can take pictures of Pokemon from the games, like when they're inserted, like transfer pack. So you can take pictures of them or rental Pokemon, and you can print them with the sticker station that they had for Pokemon Snap. Like when you go to like a Blockbuster, and you insert your game cartridge in there, you can print out like a photo reel. You could do that with Pokemon Stadium Pokemon as well, which I didn't know was a thing. I thought that was kind of cool. I never used the sticker station personally, but I always wanted to. Yeah, just whenever we went to Blockbuster, like we never had a time. Like my dad didn't take me over there.
Daddy wasn't there.
Daddy was.
I was wait. What's like? I was listening to a. I think it was you guys' episode about Gen 3 or either the remakes or the ones. Yeah. Oh, it might have been the remake because you were talking about like Jasmine or someone in the lighthouse or something.
Yeah, blessed.
I think Bono was saying like, oh yeah, Jasmine wasn't in the lighthouse. And then Alex just said, Jasmine wasn't there. And then no one talked about it. No one said anything. I was just cracking up. Like, that reference is so funny.
I don't even remember that at all. Honestly, I say a lot of stupid shit that's just not funny. So I'm glad that somebody got onto it.
No, yeah, I like that. If you say anything that no one laughs at, there's people watching it.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember actually after we recorded our first episode for the season, I was reminiscing about the Game Boy situation with my dad and my brother. We were all just like sitting around, and I mentioned like the Game Boy because my dad asked me like, "Do you still have that Game Boy?" He's like, "Yeah, I do." He's like, "What, really?" Because I told him about like, I was like, "Yeah, you guys put in the Lost and Found." He's like, "I don't remember that. I didn't do that." It's like, bullshit. Like, who did?
I didn't do that. Like, yeah. You just like slammed this like motherfucker.
It's like, did you just let me keep it? But then I think my mom chimed in and said like, "Yeah, I put it in the Lost and Found over there." But yeah, so it wasn't my dad; it was my mom that put it over there.
That reminds me of another off topic is for Super Nintendo. You guys are talking about not having a Super Nintendo.
Yeah, it didn't exist.
I had one as a kid.
Bullshit.
My older brother and sister had one. Well, my uncle works at McDonald's, so he brought. It's just not even works at Nintendo.
Yeah.
I guess we always would back when the consoles had cables for the controllers, ours would always get tied up somehow. Like putting them in the drawer and then you take them out and they're all tied up and stuff. And the back TV cables would always get tied up. So my parents were like, they always tell us like to put them away right and to, treat our stuff with respect like you should. And I guess he got sick of it one day. And just as a punishment, he was like, you know what? I'm gonna throw this thing out. So he was actually planning on giving it away to a friend. Like he wasn't gonna throw it out. He just wanted to tell us like, hey, we're throwing this out. So he went outside and he like put it on top of the garbage can, like he was gonna throw it out. We were like, oh no, what? But I guess he forgot to pick it up after, so it got thrown away.
Oh my!
I
It
think that's the
actually
story
got
of
thrown
that.
away.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So maybe he was even gonna give it back to us like for Christmas or a birthday or something. But yeah,
Yeah,
that was
you gotta
brutal.
hold that against him now. You gotta
Yeah.
like take something of his and put it on the trash.
Hmm.
Put
Exactly.
it in the trash.
where he belongs. So another thing that I thought was really cool about these games in particular is that they have another feature called the GB Tower, and you could play your games from the transfer pack on the 64. So at least for Pokemon Stadium, you could do red, blue, or yellow, and just play them as it was, like right there. Because on the Super Nintendo and on they didn't have an NES, but on the Super Nintendo they had the Super Game Boy, where you could play any Game Boy game on your Super Nintendo, like on the big screen. But this one, they didn't have that on the 64. So this is the only way, as far as I know, to play any kind of Game Boy game on a 64 was
No,
by the
I think
transfer
it's
pack.
only Pokemon game,
Yeah, it's only Pokemon games too. Like you couldn't play any
but
other
they took
games.
away a feature,
Mm-hmm.
which is lame. Like
Yeah.
you feel like they should just let you play. Why not? Isn't it just an emulator? Isn't that how it works?
Yeah, it basically just emulates it essentially. But it's like it's crazy though to think that all the hardware for what would be like a Super Game Boy is just in a little peripheral that connects to a controller, and then like the whole system is on the controller rather than plugging in as a cartridge in the system. I thought that was really sick.
Yeah, but with like 90% less capability of it
Mm-hmm.
because you can only play
Right.
two games, three
Yeah.
games.
3 games. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah. And they did have speed up features too. Basically, they had a 2x and a 3x speed up mode, but those had to be unlocked by beating
yeah.
the Poke Cup and then the Prime Cup.
Man, I wish they had speed up like emulators because like if when you did the ribbon challenge,
Mm-hmm.
if they had a speed up emulator in an official game, would that
Yeah.
be
Oh my
just
god,
as,
that'd be
you know what I mean?
amazing. If they had an official speed up on original hardware, that'd be incredible. But no, they did
Yeah.
not have that.
So I wonder if there's like speed runs for Pokemon that include.
So they also have the Hall of Fame mode, which shows records of accomplishments once you beat the stadium and gym leader castles. So it's just cool, like showcase your team that you use for those. Some gameplay changes. I made a little note over here that some of the gameplay changes were made on Stadium. So, like for example, that consecutive moves like Wrap could be ended if you switch out your Pokemon. Because in Gen 1, you couldn't switch out if you're like stuck in Wrap or Constrict or whatever. So that was something that we kind of glazed upon earlier, Bono, about like the freezing situation. Like they did change some mechanics like that. Also, this was the only way, Pokemon Stadium was the only way at the time at least, that you could get Pikachu to learn Surf. You had
Oh
to
yeah.
defeat the Round 2 Prime Cup. But then you could teach surf. You get. I think you either get a surfing Pikachu or you get to teach your Pikachu surf. I'm pretty sure it's the latter. But that will unlock the Pikachu's Beach minigame in Pokemon Yellow. For what it is, what would you guys give Pokemon Stadium 1 a rating of?
That's a tough one. Because what are you rating it on as a game? Like, what is it? What is its
Yeah,
function
it's
as a
like,
game?
is it like, do you find the overall experience enjoyable? And also, like, with or without the transfer pack, I feel like that's an important factor as well. Like, if you have the transfer pack, it makes it so much better. But if you don't,
Right.
then you're kind of limited.
Mhm.
It's where I usually go in my head when I come to like rating games. Like 5 is an average, right?
Yeah.
This is definitely an average, like an average game. It's like there. So it's
Yeah.
like where does it go up from there?
Yeah.
But to be consistent with how I've rated stuff without the transfer pack, I'd say this game's a 6.
Mm-hmm.
But with it, I'd say 7.
I would completely agree. Yeah, I would absolutely do the same thing. It's just, I mean, a lot of time nowadays, especially, you're not always having the transfer pack at the ready. Like, you have to buy it separate pretty much every time, unless you're buying the whole thing complete in box, which is just absurd. And so,
Well, and now on
yeah.
the Nintendo Switch Online, you can't do anything with like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you're really only buying it for the mini games.
Yeah.
What are you?
Yeah.
You're not buying it for the gym leader castle. What are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
Yeah.
You can't transfer those Pokemon.
Yeah, so you'd have to be stuck with the rentals, which I've seen ways of doing it, but it's way more time consuming. But
What are you doing
yeah,
it with? What are you buying it for? Gallery mode?
yeah,
No. You
no,
buying it for GB Tower? You can't use
yeah,
that, so no. You're really only buying it for the mini games.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would probably have to agree. I would give it a 6 because I would just assume that you don't have the transfer pack. I would give it a 6. But if the transfer pack was just like, or if you could like have the integration just somehow already, then like the games are like built in or whatever, which is insane. But that's the only way I would give it like anything more than a 6. But Bot and Big, what are your thoughts overall?
I'd probably just give it an average of 5
Hmm.
total. Like I don't think it really does anything super special. I think Pokemon Stadium 2 does a lot better, like with minigame variety. And I mean, I won't talk too much about it until we get to it. But yeah, I mean, there's just not that much of a reason to play it really, except for like back in the day, like seeing your Pokemon. Were you able to play with 2 Pokemon transfer packs and battle
Yeah,
like that?
yeah, you should be able to.
Yeah, so that was like definitely like, oh, let's go battle on the big screen, but
Hmm.
you just don't, there's not really any reason to go back, and you go back and play the mini games and they're good, but it's like what, it's like 30 minutes and you're over
Yeah,
it, even if you have
exactly,
friends, like
exactly.
compared to like Mario
It's
Party or
yeah.
something.
Hmm.
It's not pinball. You're not gonna pick it. You're not gonna go through the hassle of putting your stadium stuff together to play the mini games. In another
Hmm.
30 minutes.
Yeah,
At least
Yeah.
with pinball, you could do it and then be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go,
yeah.
pay my taxes or work, and then come back and
Yeah.
Why'd you
I'll do
jump
some
to
more pinball.
that?
I don't know.
Is that just like
I'm
on
gonna
your
go
mind
eat.
right now?
Yeah. You guys should file
Yeah,
before April for sure.
yeah. I mean, we're in June right now recording.
You guys should file in April
Next year.
for sure.
Yeah, for next
Yeah.
year. All right.
Yeah, I'd say Pokemon Stadium's better than doing your taxes. I had 5, now just change it to better than doing your taxes.
Yeah, better than doing your taxes out of 10. Moving on, a couple years later, or actually not even, like maybe like a year later, they released Pokemon Stadium 2 on the 64. It was released in Japan on December 14th of 2000. In North America, it came out on March 26, 2001, which was day before my 7th birthday. So in Europe, it came out October 19, 2001, and there's no actual record on the date of release for Australia. It's just sometime in 2001. So
It just
my
hit store
guess is
shelves on a
it's
random day.
yeah, it just appeared. Like there's no record. I checked everywhere and I couldn't find any record. So my guess is probably in between March and October. It probably was like August of 2001 if I were to speculate. But if there's any Australians that are watching that remember when it came out that maybe worked at like a game store at the time, let us know in the comments. They said that it is going to come out on the Switch Online expansion pack sometime in 2023, although as of right now, we don't have any knowledge about it. And also, alongside Conker's Bad Fur Day and Resident Evil 2, Stadium 2 is among the biggest file sizes for a Nintendo 64 game with 64 megabytes. Yeah, because most other games are usually like 32 megabytes or so, but this one was 64. I don't think it required the expansion pack, like hardware-wise. I'm pretty sure the expansion pack was just used for like Majora's Mask and Donkey Kong 64. But for Donkey Kong, it's
Yeah.
just like used to fix a glitch that was in the game. The game is basically the same as before, but they now updated with features for Gold, Silver, and Crystal, the Gen 2 games. And they made some smaller tweaks here and there. Basically, a Petite Cup is now called Little Cup. Prime Cup now only has one difficulty level. And now there's a Challenge Cup. So basically, the players' teams are selected at random from rentals. So basically, you don't pick your own Pokemon, you just get like random Pokemon assigned to you, and you have to win a tournament based off of that. So you gotta basically just like know your Pokemon really well. The Gym Leader Castle got crazy expanded. So instead of just like the regular 8 gyms, Elite Four, Rival, now it's all the gyms for Johto and Kanto. And there's also the Elite Four, there's a champion battle, and there's a battle against Red. But the Rival battle is now a separate mode. So the way that they had Mewtwo in Pokemon Stadium 1, now they have a versus rival mode for this one. So once you beat all the cups and Gym Leader Castle, then you can battle your rival, which would be Silver. And they have a team of Mewtwo, Lugia, and Ho-Oh. And defeating the rival in round 1 will give the player a Farfetch'd with the move Baton Pass. But then when you do the round 2 battle, you get a Gligar with Earthquake,
Oh,
which
wow.
I believe is the only way they get Gligar with Earthquake, which is odd because it's a ground flying type. You feel like you could learn it in those games, but nope. There's another mode, Pokemon Academy. Basically, it trains players on like different battle skills. And there's more like lessons when you have Pokemon Crystal inserted. I think it's because like definitive version it probably has like more data and stuff like that. Now you can see like your room from the games with Gold, Silver, Crystal. You can see them in there. There's a room or a feature called My Room, so you can see everything 3D rendered. You could redecorate everything with the stuff in your inventory. So I don't know. That was kind of cool to see that, at least as a kid. Because I remember very vividly getting Pokemon Stadium 2. My grandmother was visiting from Lebanon, and again, this game came out like very close to my birthday. So I think that's what I asked for as a birthday gift was Stadium 2. This isn't the original like one that I had as a kid, but it was cool that the cartridge it had gold and silver on it to match those games. And I don't know if you can see it right here, but it has like a glitter effect on the silver side of it. Because usually like, on the regular cartridges, it would just be gray, but this one is like silver with glitter. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool.
It makes it stand out too. Just I don't think there's a lot of games that had that. I think Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
Or did Ocarina of Time have a gold one?
It did, I think. Question mark. I'll edit if it doesn't. But,
I think it's Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask has like that really cool like image for the artwork. Okay, so the moment we were all waiting for, how bad is Giovanni in Pokemon Stadium 2? So there are now 12 games. So we made an expansion over here with our Pokemon torturing capabilities. So we have Gutsy Golbat. So the Golbat have to collect hearts while avoiding other Golbats and Magnemite in a cave to get to the exit. So, I mean, that just seems like normal events except for Magnemite. I forget, Magnemite aren't found in caves, are they?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, so basically they're just planted on there, probably by Giovanni.
I think it's an allegory for pollution in the Pokemon world. You know, it's man-made entering natural environments, and you know the nature has to fight for its life. It's kind of like a Werner Herzog documentary: man versus nature versus machine.
Machines. After that, we have Topsy Turvy, so you got to use Bob and Weave himself, aka Hitmontop, to knock over the others out of the ring. You use Rapid Spin to like accentuate your attacks and stuff. So that one I had a lot of fun with personally. I don't know, I
early Beyblade.
Yeah, basically Beyblade. Clear Cut Challenge. So use Scyther, Pinsir, or Scizor, but you only could use Scizor or Scizor when a game cartridge is inserted. Like Gold, Silver, Crystal. If it's inserted, then you can use Scizor. If not, then you're randomly assigned.
Really?
Yeah, you'd be randomly assigned Scyther or Pinsir if you don't have that. So
I always liked playing. So I preferred playing as Scizor because I feel like his chops would be cleaner than Pinsir's.
Probably.
You know, just based on the model.
Yeah, Pinsir's
Even
a
though
little
they're
more rugged.
The same.
Yeah, it's just a little more rugged. A wooden log drops down. You got to cut it right on the line that's set up on there.
And I like it has the Japanese man. Woo!
Furret's Frolics. So use Furret or Giraffe Rig when you have a game inserted, and you got to push the Pokeball. Like, it looks like a beach ball to me. So you push the Pokeball over to your goal, basically. I think I probably had the most experience with these mini games on Stadium 2, I want to say. I feel like I played these ones a lot more, or maybe I was more cognizant when I was playing them. Barrier Ball was you use your Mr. Mime to... You pretty much play like Breakout in a way. Like, at least the way that it moves is almost like Pong. So you hit the...
Wait. I also want to say...
Yeah.
Did you gain consciousness somewhere between Stadium 1 and 2? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I probably had a better memory in between those two. Like, I feel like I had better memories of Stadium 2.
What happened in between Stadium 1 and 2 that kicked you into gear?
I don't know.
Gave you like the Mind Stone.
Yeah. I mean, I do remember around that time was when I got my dog Snowy. Because we got him...
There's the gas leak here.
Yeah, it was roughly around the time that Stadium 2 came out is when I got my dog. So maybe I just remember a lot of that. I don't know. Pichu's Power Plant. We basically just torturing babies now with Pichu or Pikachu if you have Pokemon Yellow inserted. And you got to charge up the power meters by basically hitting them on the corresponding lightning rods. Essentially the same thing, but just more directional. Rampage Rollout. So you got to use Donphan to race around a ring. And you could set up dirt tornadoes. You get more dirt
tornado farts.
Yeah, exactly. You set up these little farts. You get more of them if you don't hit like any obstacles or other enemies. So you basically got to race around, do that. There's Streaming Stampede, which you got to use Clef or Igglybuff to count how many Pokemon are like running by, or it'll tell you like, count like this many Diglett or Voltorb or whatever. and so you could add or subtract depending on like what button you press, I guess. That reminds me of a Mario Party minigame. I think in Mario Party 2 they had something like that where it's like, oh, count how many bombs are on screen. Tumbling Togepi. So you got to use Togepi or Ammonite when a game is inserted, and you have them race on a treadmill obstacle course, almost like the Rattata one in Stadium 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, then there's Delibird Delivery. So you have to have Delibird collect product to market over to children. Yeah, so like you get different points. Yeah. So like you basically put them all into your bag and then you drop them off on a conveyor belt, and depending on the item that you get more points on it. So like there's the piano, there is the Nintendo 64, the Pikachu version of it. I think there was like diamonds, like this is random stuff that you just got to deliver to the kids because kids love diamonds.
I always love in games when they add in like consoles and stuff. Like, you know, since the very first Pokemon game, you would have a Nintendo, and like in Pikmin where you could find the
GameCube. No. I actually didn't really play Pikmin, honestly. I'm just bullshitting.
Really?
No, I never really gave it a shot.
There's like real branded things.
Yeah.
Well, they just got re-released on the Switch. Might be time to check it out.
Yeah, Pikmin 1 and 2 on HD remasters are now on Switch. So, yeah. Check those out. I think they're $30 each, I want to say. Egg Emergency. So you use a Chansey to collect eggs as they fall down and avoiding Voltorbs. So you got to basically move it. I like the kind of like Parisian atmosphere that they have on it.
Yeah, and the music. Everything falls like to the beat of the music. I've every time I play this, I think I get a perfect score.
Wow.
Like I think there's ways to draw like because it might be the same every time. I don't know because it goes to the music.
Check out the big brain on Bot Big. The last one is Eager Eevee. So you got to basically make a mad dash to the front or the center of the ring. You're basically almost playing like musical chairs. And you got to grab the fruit that's like under the cup or the bowl. So like the bowl lift, you go and grab the fruit, and then you get points based off of that. Yeah, so they have the quiz mode, which you test your knowledge on like, oh, look at the silhouette. What Pokemon is it? It's Jigglypuff from above. Yeah, there's the first instance of mystery gift was in this game. So every day you could play this game, and they will gift you a random item or decoration to your gold, silver, crystal game. In Japan, they had their own feature called Mobile System Game Boy that allowed players to record save battles with the mobile Game Boy adapter, and then you could upload those so other people could download and watch your battles. So that's basically what the Versus Recorder was later on in like Gen 4. So this was kind of the predecessor to it. So I'm sure that this game like had influence on like Heart Gold and Soul Silver and future games. So that assessment you made, Bono, was probably not too far off. I'm sure that like the features from here were like inspired the later releases.
Yeah, well, you have to remember, like, back way back in the day, like, I'm talking, like, Famicom stuff, they were, like, really ahead of their time in terms of ideas.
Yeah.
Because I believe what happened was like, their original plan for, like, selling video games is, like, you'd buy a disc, right? And you'd go to a certain place and insert your disc, and you could download and re-download games from that, that place, and like take it back and go home, put it on your computer, and like play whatever. That's back late in 80s, early 90s or something like that. I don't remember specifically.
Stuff is
but
absurd.
I'm like holy hell, like going from where did they go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. It's really cool that like of just what innovations that they had and what things like didn't work and then they improved on later on. And you're kind of even seeing that too with like other companies doing that too, where it's like you'll see like the Google Glass, for example, it's kind of ahead of its time, and now Apple is doing like the Vision Pro, and it's almost in the same kind of concept. I don't know.
You got to be a Slugma male.
Yeah, you got to be a Slugma male. Yeah, no, you're giving me some real Slugma male energy right now.
I'm gonna start a new a rival Pokemon podcast called Slugma Males.
Slugma Males. Slug Males podcast.
I don't know why that Slugma Males gagging me up so bad.
Oh my God. Man, you're really giving me some real beta Pineco energy.
Yeah. Chad Slugma Male.
But
I'm looking up info about Slugma, so I can get more Slugma Male.
Don't check out the Slugma Mail podcast, by the way. Stay with Babblers, please.
Yeah, fuck those guys.
Yeah. So just I have some
Oh,
other random factoids before we close it out. But Nintendo Power's guide on this game was the first recorded instance of the term evolution, which I thought was kind of cool. So it wasn't officially used like in a Pokemon game. It wasn't like canon until Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Almia, which we'll be talking about on a later episode. Also, Smeargle has like different like back and tail colors and stuff. Those were tied to its IVs, which
Oh
it wasn't
yeah.
shown later on. Like that was the only time where Smeargle had different like color variations like that.
Yeah, that's always like made me mad. It was like I think we talked about it. I don't remember what episode we talked about it, but I think it might have been the crystal one where I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I really wish they had like random, like kind of like how we have like a bunch of Alcremie. Like if we just had like like a Smeargle, like just
Yeah,
paint,
like a different palette of
yeah.
them, like a pink or a yellow, or that
Or
would
I
be
think
really
I
cool.
went even further. I was like, if they eat like a berry, like that changes to like the berry, their paint changes like to the berry's color,
Yeah,
and that does like maybe like
kind of like Oricorio. Like you have to have the
yeah, kind of
different
like that.
nectars.
But like if like a Smeargle got a tomato berry, then like whatever special move it used, it'd be like fire. Or if it ate like an
Yeah,
orange berry, it'd be like a water type attack because it's like
yeah,
blue.
yeah. That would be
Yeah.
really cool. But how would that work in game though? Like, what if it's like a whole item? Does it just instantly change type,
No, just the
or
move.
just a move?
So if
Yeah.
it's holding if it's holding an orange berry, it consumes it, and then that move for the entire battle just becomes water type.
Yeah, I guess that would be nifty. Like if you're kind of in a bind and need something that's like super effective, although you wouldn't get stabbed unless say you're eating like.
Although Smeargle's not like the best Pokemon ever, but
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I played a lot of Stadium 2 as a kid. I played a lot of it, although I never beat these games at all because I was just not a good Pokemon player. I just enjoyed Pokemon.
yeah, I played it a bit too. I remember getting it secondhand. The same. I got it from. I mean, you guys are from the same area as me, so you
Mhm.
remember Game Crazy
Yeah.
next to the Hollywood Video.
Mm-hmm.
That was the shit.
Yeah.
I think I got it from there.
Yeah.
I remember too, at Sierra. Yeah, so I remember people like in the cafeteria would bring like a CRT and
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon Stadium, and I like joined in to play once. And I was like, they were playing the mini games, and I was like getting hyped, like, oh, I'm gonna beat you guys, man.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, here we go, playing Pokemon Stadium. Like I was doing as a joke, like trying to be
Yeah.
like jockish.
Yeah.
And they looked at me funny. They didn't like it. They thought it was annoying though.
Because I never saw
Oh
them play Stadium. I saw them play Melee a lot. Because I would
yeah,
usually
no,
go
that's
like
why.
into that general room. I put like my earbuds in, and I would just like play my 3DS. Usually I do like street. I check my
Yeah.
street passes, or I
Hey, I
like play
probably
something.
street passed you a couple times with that.
Probably. Yeah, I know me and my buddy Jake, who was on the Red, Blue, Yellow episode. Yeah, we used to just hang out. We had an off period together because we both dropped the same class, and we just like street pass. We play like whatever games on our 3DSs. Yeah, I remember that
Yeah, but
very
I
fondly.
also remember for some reason for like the Scyther minigame
Mm-hmm.
where he cuts them. Like for some reason, if it's closer to like my face, I feel like I can get it faster, like press the button
Mm-hmm.
faster. And
Odd.
I was doing that to this other person's controller, and he was like, "What are you doing? You're trying to eat my controller?"
I'm like, yeah,
So
bro. What are you gonna do about
Yeah,
it?
bro, I'm
yeah,
starving.
Yeah.
and that's kind of what started me on the path of becoming a Slugma male and just living, creating my own path.
All right, cut the
Yeah.
stream.
Cut
Cut
the
the stream.
stream. Yeah. Get this fucking garbage out of here. This Slugma male garbage. Bro, I'm an alpha. I'm an alpha Hariyama male. But what rating would you guys give Stadium 2? Because I feel like this game had a lot. I had a lot more fun with it. I don't know. I want to rate it higher than Stadium 1. I feel like it's the better version. I mean,
Yeah.
but still on its own, it still needs a transfer pack to like make it even better. So I'd still give it like I give it like maybe like a 6.5 if I were to like make it just slightly better than Stadium 1. Like I feel like that there's more features that could be unlocked with the transfer pack, and I feel like it'd be way more enjoyable. But it's just on its own, it's just marred by not having that hardware. Yeah.
Actually, this is gonna be a first for me in the Babbler series. I'm actually gonna abstain from voting because
Oh.
I have absolutely zero experience with this game.
Mm-hmm.
I've never played it. I've never seen footage of it. I have no experience with it. So it would have been a good idea to probably play a little bit of Stadium 2,
Yeah.
however I could, before we did this episode. But yeah, I'm actually gonna abstain from voting on this one. So
Dang.
Pleading
good
the
for you
fifth.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
he
pleading the
flipped.
fifth.
I have
Yeah,
nothing to do with this.
yeah.
Wasn't me. What about you, Bottom What is your rating on Stadium 2?
I gave Pokemon Stadium 1 a 5, so I'd give this like a 6. Or yeah, like I was thinking 6.5 before you said that, but I don't want to copy you.
That's fine.
So I'm gonna give it
Yeah,
a
you could be a
6.
mimic. You could
I
be a
think
mimic. You could use a traceability.
I think it had like even some of the mini games are similar enough to the first one that this is kind of like the definitive version of
Yeah.
Pokemon Stadium
Yeah,
in a
this
way,
is
you
kind of
know, and
like
with
the
bigger roster.
realized version of it.
Yeah, and this is before all the Dexit stuff, so it actually had all the Pokemon up to that point, right?
Yeah, all 251 Pokemon. Although I
Yeah,
don't think
so
that like yeah, if you wanted to use like Mew and Celebi, then you have to like bring transfer them. Yeah, I think same with like Free Battle. On there, you couldn't use Mewtwo, Mew, Ho-Oh, Lugia, Celebi. You had to bring them in as like a Pokemon from the transfer pack. Also, I gotta say too, we didn't even mention the whole time. The narrator in both these games is freaking
oh
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, the play-by-play commentary when you're going through it
yes.
is so good. My God, it's one of my
Yeah.
favorite things about like battling is just the
Oh
narrator.
no!
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
such a like a really like memorable
yeah.
voice.
That's it. Stage clear. I remember
Yeah.
He puts
that.
his all into it. It
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of also the Wave Race. It might be even the same announcer. Wave Race 64 has a really good, and I really like what the compression does to the voices too. Like it gives it like it's such a nostalgic feeling.
Yeah, it's
But
almost like staticky in a way.
oh,
That's basically it. Unless there's anything else we need to add on there, I'm pretty sure that's it for this episode. So, yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Again, same as usual. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, comment, whatever YouTube isms. Don't forget to check out Bot and Big as well. His channel will be linked down below. Also, if you want to check out the other episodes of Babblers, everything's on the channel. I'll probably have the playlist link on here so you can check out the season so far. Episodes, I'm still trying to put them out every 2 weeks, so stay tuned for that. But until then, we will catch you in the next episode. Later.